you have a Bible today, let's turn with me to Psalm 90. Psalm 90. Hang on. All right. If you would stand with me, we're going to read Psalm 90 today. 90, yeah. 90. Psalm 90, verse 12. Or 90. Psalm 90, verse 12. Do I have this thing on right?
It's on.
Is it on? Okay, that's fine. I'm just making sure. Don't want to talk and nobody hear me. That'd be bad. Psalm 90, 12 says, teach us to number our days carefully so that we may develop wisdom in our hearts. Let me pray. Father, be with us today. Help us to hear your word. Help me to speak it with boldness and with clarity. We thank you today for Jesus, who is the answer. Jesus is the answer. Thank you for the graduates today, for Emily and Zach. I do pray that, God, that they would heed the word, God, that I think that you have for them. Thank you for them. Bless them, I pray, in their endeavors as they press on towards other things, God. Help them most of all, I pray, to have hearts that long to love and to serve you above all things. So in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. You know, waste is a horrible thing. I personally can't stand to waste any food, time, or money because those things for me are very, very scarce. You know, I can't even stand to waste steps. If I have to, you know, if I'm in the living room and I have to go to the bedroom to get one thing, and then I have to go back and get another thing, I'm really irritated because I've wasted steps, right? I'm wasting time. It's a waste of time to me. My wife calls me whenever we do grocery shopping and we're coming in with the groceries. She calls me the one-stop wonder because I carry them all in on one stop. I don't like to make two trips, 3 trips. I want to make one trip and get it done because it's a waste of time to do it otherwise, unless, of course, you drop the milk or something with glass and it breaks everywhere, and then it's just no good. We don't want to waste any of those things, man, because they are time. It's a waste of time. It's scarce. But what's even worse is wasting our lives, because we have one life, and it is even more scarce and more rare than either time or money or food. I want to read a story to you, just a quick one, on how to waste your life, from a book called Don't Waste Your Life by John Piper. He was 57 when he wrote this, by the way. It says, I will tell you what a tragedy is. I will show you how to waste your life. Consider a story from the February 1998 edition of Reader's Digest, which tells about a couple who took early retirement from their jobs in the Northeast 5 years ago when he was 59 and she was 51. Now they live in Punta Gorda, Florida, where they cruise on the 30-foot trawler, play softball, and collect shells. He says, at first when I read it, I thought it might be a joke, a spoof on the American dream, but it wasn't. Tragically, this was the dream. Come to the end of your life, your one and only precious God-given life, and let your last great work of your life, before you give an account to your Creator, be this: playing softball and collecting shells. Picture them before Christ at the great day of judgment. Look, Lord, see my shells. That is a tragedy. And people today are spending billions of dollars to persuade you to embrace that tragic dream. Over and against that, I put my protest. Don't buy it, and don't waste your life. I think about this story a lot. I think about it a whole lot. Do y'all want to get before God and say, look, God, at my shells. Aren't you proud of my shells? Is there anything wrong with a 30-foot trawler? Retiring early? Is there anything wrong with collecting shells? No, of course not. I love to collect shells. I love to get on a boat. I never get on one, but when I am able to get on one, I like it. There's nothing wrong. Retiring early, it sounds good to me. Okay? Is there anything wrong with these things? No, there's nothing wrong with these things. But is this the great end of our lives? Ease, comfort, money, a boat, stuff? Is this the great end of our lives? Is this what we're going after? And here's my thing. I've only encouraged graduates today, or anyone else in this place, to go to college, to go to work, to find a job and make lots of good money. By the way, I want you to find a job. I want you to make money. I want you to eat. Okay, I want you to do that. I want to help you do that, in fact. I hope I've helped you to do that already. I'm your advocate. I want you to find those things. I want you to do those things. But if I've only encouraged you to graduate from college and to go off and make a lot of money, then I have failed you, and you will fail in the end. So we waste our lives. Number one, if we think that life is primarily about being rich or having many possessions, we waste our life. Number one. What's the message that our young people going to college or out to the workforce are hearing as they go as to the great goal of college or work? What are they hearing that is the great goal or the work? For many of us, we go to college, we go to work, so I can have my house, I can have my car, I can have my boat, I can have my vacation house, I can have my four-wheeler, I can have my iPad, my iPod, my iPhone, my swimming pool. I want to go to work and I want to go to college so I can get all my stuff. That's primarily what I think what we're thinking about, to be quite honest with you. And here's my point. There's nothing wrong with having those things as long as those things don't have you. There's nothing wrong with having things as long as those things don't have you. So think about this for a second. For anyone in this room, and really for y'all down here, is why do you want to go to work? Why do you want to go to college? Or why did you graduate college? And this is not an issue of who can work the most hours or who's going to work 80 hours a week. This is not the issue. It's a matter of priorities. It's a matter of what is the focus of your life. It's a matter of what is the goal at the end of your life. What are you going after? What are you pursuing? That's what this is right here. That's what the point. That's my point. Is what is your priority? What's most important in life? And for many of us, if we just make it our aim to just have a bunch of stuff and be successful and make a name for ourselves, then I'm afraid that we're headed down a dead-end road. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why riches and possessions are a dead-end road. Number 1, or letter A, is riches and possessions cannot go with me when I die. Riches and possessions cannot go with me when I die. Job said after he'd lost most of his possessions and even his children, he said in Job 1, he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked will I leave this life. The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Praise the name of the Lord." The old example is I've never seen a U-Haul follow a hearse. I mean, really, that is a serious thought to think about. We laugh at that. I chuckle at that. But do we really think we're going to carry all our stuff with us? Is that where we'll go? All the stuff we have, are we going to take it with us? What sense does it make to really pursue after all this stuff if I can't take it with me when I die? What kind of sense does that make? Everything that we have, here's a point, everything we have will belong to someone else one day. Everything we have will belong to someone else one day. So I'm doing it for my children and grandchildren. You know, that's a good thing. They'll have it one day, but one day they won't have it one day because they're going to die. And they won't have it anymore. Okay, everything we have will belong to someone else one day. Letter B, earthly riches and possessions can be taken away. Matthew 6, 19 through 21. I'm going to read it for you. It says, I think about this verse a whole lot too. I'll be honest with you, I think this was the verse that helped propel me into the ministry, to be quite honest with you. It says, "Don't collect for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but collect for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves don't break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So what he's saying is that your earthly treasures, all the stuff you have, can be taken away from you. So my question is, why make it your aim in life to gain what you cannot keep? Let me give you a quote from Jim Elliot. He died in 58 or 59, I think 1959. He's 28 years old. He was in Ecuador. He got speared to death. And this was a quote he made. He said, "He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain that which he cannot lose." I'll read it again. It's a complicated sentence, to be honest with you. "He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep." That means everything you have is what you cannot keep. "To gain that which he cannot lose." If you give all your stuff to gain heavenly treasures can never pass away. That's the place to store your life and to park your life at. Not just the stuff that's going to fade away and rust and moth and destroy can be stolen. The letter C. Those that are rich tell us that there is no lasting satisfaction in being rich or having possessions. I believe that whatever you're going to do in life, you need to be around those that have been there, done that. Because you're going to need to have a clue as to what you're getting into, okay? Those that have been there and those that have done that. So I want to give you several quotes from very famous rich people who've been all around the world that have been there, done that. The singer Sting, he's a little older now, but he was a famous singer, still sings a little bit. He says, the Police, that's this band he was part of before he was just Sting by himself. He said, the Police wasn't a particularly happy experience for me. Getting what I had desired for so long, success, and finding it didn't equate with actual happiness made me even more unhappy. What is happiness? Where is it? It's not in selling millions of records, which he did and still doing. It's not in being hugely famous or desired by all these people, which he is. He's done. He said it must be somewhere else. It certainly is, isn't it? He said, I need to get out of the police to find it. He said, getting everything I wanted didn't make me happy. Let me give you a quote from the funny man actor Jim Carrey. This was a startling quote to me. He says, this is a great quote, I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer. What a startling quote. Deion Sanders, professional football and baseball player. They called him Primetime Deion Sanders or Neon Deion. He played both baseball and football in the mid-90s. This guy was good. I got a lot of his stats here. I'm going to skip all those stats. But his 19 defensive and return touchdowns on an NFL record. He was selected to 8 Pro Bowls. He was awarded the NFL Defensive Player of the Year in '94. College Football News named Deion Sanders number 8 on its list of 100 greatest college football players of all time. ESPN named Deion Sanders 74 on its list of 100 great athletes of the century. NFL.com named Sanders number 34 on NFL's top 100 list. And May 17, 2011, Deion Sanders was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. On August 6, 2011, he was inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've got a list of, he had 7,838 all-purpose yards and scored 22 touchdowns. And some of those are NFL records. By all accounts, we would look at Deion Sanders' athletic life and say that he was successful. He had fame, he had money, he had success in the field. But I want to show you what was really going on in his head at the height of his fame. In the middle of all this, I want to show you what he did. At the height of his fame, Deion had got so depressed that he pulled his brand new sports car and was driving like a crazy person and found the ledge. And he skidded off the road, slammed the brakes, and the smoke from the gravel just went up. And he looked at the ledge. He said, "I'm going to do this." And he grabbed the steering wheel, he floored it, and he drove his car off a 40-foot cliff. Now, believe it or not, neither he nor his car had a scratch on it. Now, how did he do that? I don't know. How does his car get off without a scratch? I don't know. But there's Deion with all this stuff, everything he wanted. And he's driving his car off a cliff. He has everything he wants, man. Everything he wants. Everything that you want. And drove his car off a cliff trying to kill himself. Why did he do it? Let me tell you his own words. These are Deion's words. He said, I was empty. He said, I tried cars, jewelry, clothes, money, women. He said, everything. He said, nothing could fulfill me. 10 minutes after buying a $275,000 Lamborghini sports car, he said, I realized how empty I was. 10 minutes after buying that car. Deion Sanders shared that the night he won the Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys was the loneliest night of his life. The night they won the Super Bowl was the loneliest night of his life. I want to share a few other quotes from some successful athletes. Boris Becker, a great tennis star, after he won his 3rd Wimbledon, acknowledged that he was still suffering with suicidal thoughts. Canadian hockey player Paul Henderson became a national hero after scored so many goals against Russia in 1972 in an 8-game Summit Series. He said, the day I became a national hero was the day I realized how empty I was. Ravi Zacharias, he's not an athlete, he's a Christian author. Zacharias, he said, listen to this startling quote. I want you to look at this. I am absolutely convinced. He's been all around the world. He talks about this a lot. He said, I am absolutely convinced that meaningless does not come from being weary of pain. Meaninglessness comes from being weary of pleasure. And that is why we find ourselves emptied of meaning with our pantries still full. Where is meaningless found? When I have everything I want. So to sum him, if you want a meaningless life, if you want to live a meaningless life and feel empty and feel purposeless, then surround yourself with pleasure in everything you've ever wanted. This is the testimony from those that have been there. King Solomon, who admitted to having everything his heart desired. I could have showed you quotes from King Solomon. Without a doubt, the wealthiest time in Israel's history. King Solomon had everything. And this is what he said in Ecclesiastes 5. He said, "He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves abundance with its income. This too is vanity." It is worthless and meaningless. They all go to dust, don't they? Everything we have. Trying to find happiness and riches and possession is a failed experiment. I hope you hear that today. I hope everyone hears that today. Trying to find happiness and meaning in riches and possessions is a failed experiment. I could have preached a year-long sermon giving you quotes from famous people who have everything, telling you how unhappy they are. But yet we still pursue these things, don't we? When is it going to get through our heads to realize that pursuing all these things is not going to do it? It's not going to do it. Are you running after fame or riches and you're wasting your life? You're going to fail at life because you've not focused on things that matter most. Someone may say, "Well, I'm gonna run after these things anyway, and I'm gonna be happy doing it." Well, here's the thing: are you really so foolish to think that you're going to be the first one to actually find satisfaction and fulfillment in going after stuff? Because you're not. You're going to try like everybody else has, and you're going to fail. You're going to fail. Everybody else is saying otherwise. We waste our lives if we run after riches and fame, thinking that's the point of it all. We also waste our lives, number 2, if we fail to keep the end of our lives constantly before us. We fail to keep the end of our lives constantly. We've got to focus off stuff and onto Jesus, onto eternal things, number 1. And then we've got to realize the end of our lives. Letter A, the end will come quickly. It will come faster than we know. Psalm 90:12 says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." I've been thinking about this a whole lot. Teach us to number our days. It's a prayer to God. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Let me ask you and y'all a question. When's the last time you numbered your days? How do you number your days? Let me recommend for you how to number your days, okay? Let's say you get a jar of marbles. And for each marble in the jar represents how many weekends you have left in life. If you live to be 75 years old, which is the average lifespan, then you only have 3,900 weekends to live in your lifetime. That's if you live to be 75. And that's 75 times 52 is what that is. So 3,900 marbles in a jar. I really started to buy a bunch of marbles. It was too expensive. So I was going to get you a visual. So just picture some marbles down here in the jar, okay? So listen, if you're 18 years old, then you have lived 936 weekends, and you only have, if you live to be 75, 2,964 weekends left. If you're 22 years old, then you only have 2,756 weekends left to live if you live to be 75 years old. And for all of you, it's something different. When I stand before a tombstone or a casket or at a funeral service, and I've had to stand before a lot of them in the past 5 years, or if you have your marbles in your jar, I want to tell you some things that I think about when I'm standing before a casket or a tombstone when we have a funeral service here or somewhere else. I think about these 8 things. Number 1, I'm going to die one day too. All my marbles are running out. I'm going to die one day. I'm going to die. I'm not going to be here anymore. I think number 2, people I know and love will one day die. My mother, my father, my grandparents, my sister, my brothers, my friends, co-workers, everybody I know is going to die one day. Number 3, life is short. Time flies. The marbles go quickly. The marbles go out very quickly. We blink and we're 80. Number 4, I want to make every moment count. I don't want to waste my life because it is too precious to waste it. It's too precious. Am I wasting my marbles? I ask, is there really life after death for those who don't believe in the Bible? Maybe you ask that question. Do I really believe what the Bible says about life after death? Do I really believe that? Will I see my loved ones again? I think about that. Am I living my life for what matters most? I think about that a whole lot. I have an incessant desire to make my life count. I don't want to waste my life. I don't want to come to the end of my life and just give God shells or crap. Sorry. I don't want to give God that. I want to give God something precious. I want to give God something that He can say, well done with. You know why? I've only got one life. I want to live it. I want to live it for what matters most. Let me give you a few other things. The average age of a woman gets married today is 27 years old. And the average age that a man gets married today is 29 years old. So if you're 22 years old and female, and you get married at 27, then you only have 260 weekends left where you're single. If you're 18 years old and you get married at 29, you only have 572 weekends left to be single. My question is, what are you doing with your singleness? What are you doing with your singleness? You know, every time period, whether young, old, really old, really old, or really young, is every time period is unique and precious, right? Every time period brings its own challenges. Every time period brings its own advantages, doesn't it? Absolutely, okay? And when you're single, you have more time to do certain things and more of an opportunity to do certain things than, say, when you're married, for example, okay? It's not a slap against being married. I love being married. I love my wife. I love my children. But there are opportunities and there is time that is restricted because we have to take care of your family, okay? For example, I can't just hop on a plane tomorrow and go live in Tanzania for 9 months on the mission field because I got a family to take care of, all right? That's just part of it. That's a good thing. God calls me to take care of my family. God calls me to love my wife as Christ loved the church. God calls me to bring my children up in the training and admonition of the Lord in Ephesians chapter 6. And so I'm going to do that. That's part of my thing. But until you get married, those things don't apply to you yet. They don't apply to you yet. Taking care of a wife, taking care of a child, that doesn't apply to you yet. So go off to the jungle in Peru and give your life for Jesus. Go ahead and do that. Run up and down the jungles all you want and serve and go live for Jesus. And make your life count right now. Make your singleness count. Make your single life count. Okay? While you still have time to do it. When you get married, you need to take that focus and put it in on your wife. Put it in on your children. And focus all that God-given energy on them then. That's what you got to do. My own regrets. Let me give you some of my regrets. Is I wish I had done more mission work and more church work when I was a single person. I did a lot of lay work as a single person in my 20s. I did a lot of it. Went on lots of trips, but I wish I'd done more, to be quite honest with you. I wish I'd lived on a college campus. I wish I had plugged into a college ministry on campus or a church that had singles ministry. I wish I'd plugged in and taken the more opportunities that were offered me. There were more opportunities offered to me than what I had, and I didn't take them, and I wish I had. Don't live with regrets in that way. There's opportunities for you as singles. Even being in the Southern Baptist Convention, you can work for a refuge camp. You can work for Sister Youth Camp all summer. It's a wonderful blessing. You can go on 9-week mission trips. You can go on a 2-year journeyman trip. 2 years with an international mission board and go off and spend 2 years in another country. These are opportunities that are offered to you now as single persons that you don't have later, to be quite honest with you. So my thing is, do it now. Do it now. Go do it now. Go do it now while you still have time. While you still have the opportunity. And you know what? While you still have the strength. You won't be young forever. Your legs won't always work. Your arms won't always work. Your brain won't always work as fast as it does. So while you're young, you love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. With all your strength. While you still move. Do it. For all of us that got health in this room, it is a gift from God. Let's use it to serve God. That's why we have our health, by the way. That's right. It's to serve Him with all our strength. All our strength. Everything we've got. If we can just write cards for the glory of God. Make phone calls for the glory of God. Pat people on the back for the glory of God, if that's all you can do. Give money for the glory of God to missions to send young people off and do it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you can do, whatever you've got, give it all you got. Because you just got one life. Who says that you have to go to college straight out of high school? Or go straight to work after college? Who says that? Who imposes that? Is that our American dream imposing it upon ourselves? Here's my thing. Why not take a gap year? And this is a big thing now. I've got globalmissions.com. Why not take a gap year? Students, take a gap year and go spend it 1 year on the mission field and then come back. You know what? Going on the mission field for 1 year might actually clarify what you want to do with your life. Did you know that? I don't know what to do with my life. Go serve Jesus somewhere. You might find some clarity there. Seriously. Just a recommendation to you. Are you using your singleness wisely, or are you wasting time? If you're retired, the kids are out of the house, you don't have kids, are you using your time wisely? If you retire at 65 and you live to be 75 and you die at 75, then you only have 520 weekends left to live. Are you using your retirement wisely? If you're over 75 years old and every day is a gift, since you're living longer than most people do in the world, are you using what time you have left in a wise manner? If you have children at home, little children at home, any child at home, are you spending time with them and with your family? Did you know that if you have a newborn child, then you only have 936 weekends with your child until they graduate from high school? If your child is a senior in high school, then starting this weekend, given that he or she goes to college next year, the first week of August, you only have 62 weekends left with your senior. Only 62 weekends. If you're a senior in high school, then you have only 40 weeks, approximately, I counted up, about 40 weeks left with your current friends of high school, which you won't see 90% of them again. Are you making a difference for the time you got left? Are you leaving a positive, godly mark on your friends and teachers at school? Psalm 39, O Lord, make me know my end, and what is the measure of my days. Let me know how fleeting I am. Behold, you have made my days a few handbreadths, and my lifetime is as nothing before you. Surely all mankind stands as a mere breath. That's our life. That's it. Surely man goes about as a shadow. It says, you have made my life a few handbreadths. Everybody hold your hands up in front of you. Your life, it says, is just a few handbreadths. 1, 2, 3. How long is that? Not very long, is it? That's about how long our lives are, right? It's so short. It's so short. I want to encourage you there. I want to encourage you to not only will the end come quickly, but the end of this life is not the end of existence. There's more to our life than just 75 years and then we die. If we're to make our lives count and to succeed in life, we must live our life with the end of this life in mind. We must live our life with the end of this life in mind. Everyone lives forever somewhere. Everyone lives forever somewhere. Let me read something for you, and I want you to think about this in light of your life and what matters most when this happens. I'm going to read the end of Revelation, the book of John, right in the book of Revelation. He's looking at the end. This is Revelation 21. This is the end of the Bible. This is the end of time. This is where it all goes. This is the end game for all of our lives and all of existence. This is it. What is the end? Here it is. He says that I saw a great white throne and one seated on it. Earth and heaven fled from his presence, and no place was found for them. I also saw the dead, the great and the small, standing before the throne, and books were opened. Another book was opened, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged according to their works by what was written in the books. Then the sea gave up its dead, and death and Hades gave up their dead. All were judged according to their works. Death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. And anyone not found written in the book of life was thrown into the lake of fire. So at the end of it all, there is a throne. There is God on the throne, and God is judging. Throne, God on throne, God judging. That's the end game of this. That's what all of this is headed to. Whether we like it or not, whether we think about it or not, whether we believe it or not, that is where it's headed, man. It's where it's headed. Let me ask you a very serious question. On that day, before the throne of God, and God sitting on the throne judging, what really matters then? What really matters then? What really matters then? Think about what we're currently living for. What we're doing now. What are our goals in life now? Does any of my current pursuits really matter when I stand before God at the end of it all? Does it really matter? Does it really matter? I think the American dream that says pursue stuff will wind up being a nightmare on Judgment Day.
That's right.
The American dream will be a nightmare on Judgment Day. I think there are good things about America. I praise the Lord for the freedom we have. I praise the Lord for capitalism. Thank you, Jesus. We can go out and make money. But is that what it's really all about? Is that what it's all about? The only questions that matter then is this. Two questions. Number one, what have I done with Jesus? That's the unbeliever's question. Number two, for believers, what have I done for Jesus? What have I done with Jesus? What have I done for Jesus? In one sense, listen now. In one sense, you and I cannot help but waste our lives. In one sense, you and I cannot help but fail to do these things because we are so easily distracted and because you and I are wretched sinners and incurably sick, Jeremiah 17 tells us. See, we don't want to think about the end of our lives. And we don't want to think about anything else except the here and now. And we don't want to pursue spiritual things because I want my food and my security and I want it now. I want my stuff now. That goes me into my last point. We waste our lives if we fail to go to the cross when we fail. All this talk of keeping our eyes off riches and keeping it on to eternity will never happen if we don't continually go back to the cross of Christ when we fail. Until you see the beauty of His grace, the world's beauty will always be more alluring to you. Until you see the beauty of His grace, God and Jesus has to be more beautiful to you than all this other stuff, or you'll always go after the other stuff because it's prettier. John Stott, a great British preacher, just died recently in his 90s. He said, the cross is the blazing fire at which the flame of our love is kindled, but we have to get near enough for its sparks to fall on us. There's a fire at the cross, and it's burning. And he says for you to kindle your flame of love for God, you got to get close to it. So let me take you close to it for just a second, okay? Just a little bit. Ephesians chapter 1, 7 through 8. It says, we have redemption in Him through His blood, the forgiveness of our trespasses, according to the riches of His grace that He lavished on us with all wisdom and understanding. Let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever done anything that you feel God won't or can't forgive because it was so bad? Have you ever felt hopeless dealing with your sins? I just can't stop and I just can't win. You ever felt that way? You ever felt so defeated with your sins, I just can't stop and I just can't win? You ever feel like you've gone too far to a point of no return? God will never go that far. You don't know how far I've gone. You don't know how far I've gone. But according to Ephesians 1, what is my salvation based on? It says, according to the riches of His grace. God is not poor in grace. He is what? Rich in grace. And that gets me to the word lavished. I did a little study on this word lavish recently. It got me all excited. What does lavish mean? In English, to expend profusely. One that lavishes is one that is very generous. Generous. In Greek, the Greek word means to superabound. Wow, what a word. To superabound in quantity or quality. To be in excess. God lavished His grace on us, is what it says. So in plain language, let's put it down this way. Let's say you have a cup of water. I wish I had that here. And it's somebody that keeps pouring That is God's grace. It's overflowing, and He keeps pouring. So God pours so much on you, it is like He wasted His grace on you. He kept pouring, and He keeps pouring, and He keeps pouring, and He keeps pouring, and He keeps pouring, and He never stops pouring. Okay? That is God's grace. Is He going to run out? No. He keeps pouring. It is an everlasting jar of grace that continually fills up with water. That is God's grace for you and God's grace for me, man. Where sin abounds, grace abounds much more, Romans 5 tells us.
Amen.
Where sin is multiplied, grace is multiplied even more. I have a multiplication of sins. He has a multiplication of grace.
Amen. Yes, sir.
So no matter how far you go, God's grace will always go further. Just when you think you've gone too far, God is right there, a little farther. Man, I've gone too far. I don't see God. Look, there He is. Look, there He is. He's right there. I've gone too far. I'm too far down the road, man. I'm so far from it. Oh, there He is. There He is. One of my favorite quotes. I love this quote. Listen to this. What does God have for those of us who have squandered His grace in the past? More grace. I've squandered it. More grace. Squandered it. Keeps pouring. Squandered it. Overflowing. I've squandered it. I don't care. He's still pouring. He's still pouring. We sing about, this is not an excuse to sin, but it's a marvelous display as to how gracious our God really is. That's what it is. I don't believe God's that gracious. Oh, yes, He is. God is that gracious. We sing how great is our God, but when we really see how great His grace is, do we really believe it? How great is our God? That He's not great enough to save me. Oh, yes, He is. He's not great enough to clean me up, but oh, yes, He is. He's not great enough to forgive me of what I've done. Oh, yes, He is. Oh, yes, He is. And oh, yes, He is. So in a sense, for us to not waste our lives, we must realize that God has wasted His grace on us. To not waste your life and my life, we must realize that God has, in a sense, wasted His grace on us. And He's still pouring, and there's more available, man. And when you get that, we don't abuse it. We worship. Do you understand?
That's right.
We worship. The only way to you won't waste your life is to continually keep the cross before you. You know how you do that? You pray, you read your Bible, and you come to corporate worship. Those are the means of grace that God imparts His grace to you. It's been 2,000 years and the church hasn't got over it yet. You pray, you read your Bible, and you come to church and you listen to what's said. That's how God changes you. So resting assured in God's grace towards you and realizing that you can never go beyond the grace of God will keep you on the path of life, man. It's all about Jesus. I want to read a poem to you. I had 3 points in the poem today. How about that? 3 points in the poem. I got a poem I'm going to end it with. Only One Life by C.T. Studd. Listen to this. And that's in your little graduate bags, too. I put it on a little sheet of paper for you. Nice little sheet of paper for you. Only One Life by C.T. Studd. Listen to it now. 2 little lines I heard one day, traveling along life's busy way, bringing conviction to my heart, and from my mind would not depart. Only one life, 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Only one life, yes, only one. Soon will its fleeting hours be done. Then, in that day, my Lord to meet and stand before His judgment seat. Only one life, 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Only one life, the still small voice gently pleads for a better choice, bidding me selfish aims to leave and to God's holy will to cleave. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Only one life, a few brief years, each with its burdens, hopes, and fears, each with its clays I must fulfill, living for self or in His will. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. When this bright world would tempt me sore, when Satan would a victory score, when self would seek to have its way, then help me, Lord, with joy to say, only one life, will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Give me, Father, a purpose deep, in joy or sorrow, thy word to keep. Faithful and true, whatever the strife, pleasing thee in my daily life. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Oh, let my love with fervor burn, and from the world let me now turn, living for thee and thee alone, bringing thee pleasures on thy throne. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Only one life. Yes, only one. Now let me say, thy will be done. And when at last I'll hear the call, I know I'll say 'twas worth it all. Only one life will soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last.
Amen.
Pray with me. God, help us to realize that our life is short, that we must run after you with all of our hearts,